Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and welcome to No Budget Reviews, the series where we go around the country finding cars that you can buy in good condition with an MOT for under £1,000 and filming them with absolutely no money at all. So we have to use my phone, no microphones, no fancy DSLRs, nothing like that. Just good honest cars that you can buy for very little money and you can enjoy driving. Well, viewers, we have an absolute treat today. What a wonderful car. I'm here with Mr. Matty Manning from Matty's Cars. Hello. Once again, like we were in, I think, September 2019, we're back at this sports centre on the edge of Liverpool because it's a convenient place to film. We've got loads of space around here, and this is the car that he's just bought. It's a 1995 Peugeot 205 1.6 automatic. Now, we kind of thought it might be a junior automatic. They did make a junior automatic, but towards the end of 205 production for this country, and they stopped importing these to the UK in 1996, it all went a bit weird. So it's got these stripes down the side of it which look like a junior. The wheels, just ignore those, those are later additions. But there's no junior badges on the wings or on the back, and it's got electric windows, and I think it's got power steering as well, which normal juniors just didn't really have. It's really weird, and on the logbook we just checked it and it says 205 automatic, and there was a trim level earlier in the 205's life, definitely with automatic, and you go around the back of the pre-facelift 205, this is a facelift one, and it would say it just says, this one just says Peugeot and then nothing, but normally what it would say on the back would be 205 automatic with the kind of the grey kind of ribbed plastic on this panel in the boot, but this doesn't say anything like that. So it's been a bit of an adventure just discovering this, and I do like the look of this car. It was a design that was really up to date in '83 when these came out, and they made the car up until 1998 for other markets apart from us, because they just kept selling them, and they sold 5.2 million of these. I do apologise for the wind noise, by the way, that's just the way it goes on No Budget Reviews. Anyway, let's take the key, classic old Peugeot key, and see if we can get in the back. It's a very familiar type of car to me because a lot of people I knew when I was younger actually had these. Oh, is that functioning, Mr. Manning, or is it?
It does open, Joseph.
There we go.
A charity shot load of stuff in there.
Yep. Oh, it's that way. There we go. Fabulous. It's quite a big boot for an old car, and you know, with some of, I think maybe some of this trim is missing on the side or something. I'm not really sure. I'm not going to bother taking that out. There'll be a spare wheel under there somewhere. We do have a rear windscreen washer reservoir, which is very posh. As I said, this is a post-facelift car. It's a very late one, 95, so it's got the smoked rear lenses on the back. And I really like this colour. It's not a colour that you'd see on many modern cars, but I do like it. I think it would have come originally probably with hubcaps or something like that. Let's just get in the back. Let's use the old-fashioned way of getting in. And of course, we don't get door pockets. We do get an ashtray. In fact, there are two ashtrays in this car. That says something about the state of French smoking habits in 1980, doesn't it? Right, to get in the back, it's about where my driving position is, about here. That's not too bad. It's not the most spacious car. The headroom's not the most, but for a car of this era and this size, it's not too bad actually. Sunroof, of course, which has been sealed up because that's what happens to old sunroofs. And, the good old-fashioned window winder. As you can see, we've got another ashtray over here. It's quite well upholstered. The seat fabric's quite jazzy. And there you are. There's the automatic transmission lever and the two pedals. Very, very simple design. I mean, you can tell it's something from the 1980s. There's just not a lot to it, really. There were probably some models with electric sunroofs, because they've actually got controls up there for them, and you know, maybe other exciting things like map lights, but we don't have anything like that in this car. We do have, however, if we come round to the front, oh dear, that's needs a bit of oil or something. Look at this, it's got electric front windows. It's very posh for a 205. You know, this isn't a Gentry or anything like that. I mean, the Gentry was probably the top of the range one that was available ever in the trim lineup. It wasn't too dissimilar to this. I think it was 1992 the Gentry was out. Apologies for light levels. It's very bright here this evening in Liverpool. If you come around this side, it probably will go away. Yes, it will. But yes, it's a car that actually does drive quite well. I have actually driven it here, and you'll be seeing how it drives a little bit later. If we get in here, it's got a 3-spoke steering wheel as well, which I don't think the majority of the junior models had, but it hasn't got a rev counter. I mean, like, maybe you don't need a rev counter in automatic, probably you don't, but it hasn't got one. It does have this stereo down there, that's an interesting aftermarket one. The later dashboard, which this has, came in I think about 1988. It wasn't quite the same time they changed over the front and the rear of the car. We just pull this door shut. You can see that actually the door pockets are minuscule. I did try getting the secret mission documents in there earlier on, and they wouldn't even fit. See the glove box in there? No, I think the fuse box is in there as well. They didn't bother changing it from left to right hand drive, so you can't put those secret mission documents in there either. Little ridge on there, obviously we don't have any airbags or anything like that. It didn't get airbags in a 205. The seat position is very high. There's no seat height adjustment in this car or anything, which you know, is a little bit frustrating, but it's just the way that it goes, really. What happens when you drive older cars like this. No choke or anything like that in here. It looks like a choke lever might have been kind of up here or something. Does that do anything, that? No. It's where the choke lever, I think, might have been. Because this is a 1995 car, has fuel injection and the catalytic converter and all these other things that we had to have for Euro 1 emissions compliance. Right, I think it's time to take a look under the bonnet. Okay, so here is the TU6 engine. It's 1.6 litre engine, which generates 89 horsepower. Is that the jack which lives at the front? That's interesting. The engine doesn't currently have a dipstick, which is why there's a lot of oil sort of everywhere, because Matty's got a dipstick on order. It's not horrendously leaking. You see that side of the engine's absolutely fine. It's just this side where the dipstick tube is. So that'll be coming soon. Funny old coolant reservoir, isn't it? Funny old thing that. These cars do have a cam belt, so on a TU engine, just make sure you have changed it. I think some of these, in the early days, did used to blow head gaskets, but later they got, the sort of better they got really in that respect. Yeah, it's actually quite cramped for an engine bay of this sort of car, but I presume because it's a 1.6 auto, and I think it's got power steering, so everything is kind of sort of crammed in here. But yeah. There we go, there's a power steering bottle. It does have power steering. Wonderful, right. I think it's time we went for a drive. So here we are, viewers. A Peugeot 205. I do apologise for the light. It's sort of quite late on in the day when we're recording this, and the light just isn't very good, and this is the only time that we're able to do the filming. Given this has got a 1.6 litre engine and 89 brake horsepower, it feels very sprightly. The speedometer is sort of wobbling up and down a needle. The camera mount is wobbling up and down because the suspension is very old. The car's only done around 55,000 miles, which isn't a lot, I think you'll agree. So the base engine with a 205 was just a 1 litre, which for my research did just 45 horsepower. Then next was 1.1, various 1.1s. Some of the engines in the 205 were the old Simca Poissy engines. Let's put the window up. Old Simca Poissy engines, and you know, some of the old suitcase engine that had been developed with Renault. 1.1's developed 50 horsepower, 55 horsepower and 60 horsepower depending on what the year was. 1.4's, well, it's a lot of them. So it was 70, then 75, and 80 and 85. I know the XS model, for example, generated 85 horsepower. 1.6 is again quite a lot. First of all, 80 horsepower, and then 90 or 89 in this automatic with a catalytic converter. And then, of course, with the 1.6 GTI, it was 105 and then 115 horsepower later on. With a 1.9, the least powerful engine in one of those was with the Gentry model, which was a special edition. That had 105 horsepower. With the 1.9 GTI, again the XU engine, that was 130, and then later the catalytic converter, it was 122 horsepower. There were also some diesels, but we don't talk about those on this channel. What is this car actually like to drive now we've been through the specs and things like that? I'm just following Matty in his Saxo, which you would have seen on the channel, because I just need to know where to go. So we're in separate cars as well, so we are being sensible. I do apologise for the lighting and, you know, the shakiness of the camera and all kinds of things, and the mount being in the way. That's just the way that it goes on No Budget Reviews, as most of you know by now. This car feels really sprightly. I wouldn't be surprised if this is 0 to 60 in sort of under 10 seconds. I know it's an automatic, but it just doesn't weigh anything. And it's got power steering as well, which makes it feel really quite easy to drive. It's really easy. I mean, it gathers speed really quite well. Suspension on this is a little bit warm. The ride was famous, as some of you will know, for being quite smooth in these back in the day. But you know, this car's over 25 years old now, and that's why it might be bouncing around a bit. The visibility is absolutely brilliant. It's fantastic, and it just reminds me of a time when, you know, these were absolutely everywhere. They've actually got quite a high survival rate. They do rust and things, but they don't rust as nearly as badly as you'd think they would. I've just got the little stalk here that I remember turning around for my sister's godmother, who had an early 205. I think that was one of the ones that was a 1.1 with either the suitcase engine or the Poissy engine. I can't remember actually if 1.1 in 85 had you know, one of those. It probably did. And then a childminder, after she got rid of her Mark II Polo, she had another 1985 205 with a 1.1 engine with the same colour, but both sort of light blue. And then one of my friends' his first car had a 1993 205 Trio that would read his mother's car. That was obviously with the forbidden fuel, so we can't talk about that on the channel. But that car lasted an awfully long time. It lasted, I think, until about 2019, because I remember a registration number. I won't say it for sort of privacy reasons, but I looked it up the other day, and it lasted a long time. Certainly the mechanicals of these cars are quite hard. I mean, some of the trim feels pretty delicate. I had to bang that door shut, it's a bit disconcerting, but you know, it's quite remarkable, really. I'm just very privileged to have been offered this car by Matty in this really, this really strange, rare specification, and maybe we can have some more 205 fun on the channel. We haven't got a lot of time today. I've just had to run up here, having done some other filming for the channel, so we haven't had an awful lot of time to do it, and we had to do it after Matty finished work, so that's why, you know, it might seem a little bit rushed, the light levels aren't very good, but I couldn't turn down the opportunity to drive one of these. It's one of the most important cars of the 1980s, and this one was built, you know, in the middle of the 90s, so they have this, you know, amazingly long shadow that they cast, and you know, I probably wouldn't mind a nice Gentry myself, or maybe a Roland Garros, I don't know. Excellent. Right, viewers, the only way that I can actually film this segment without the light just completely overwhelming my face is to hold the coat like this. I do apologise. It does look a bit weird, but we're just going to have to do it like this. I love no budget reviews. So let's look at these trim levels. There are a lot of trim levels for a 205, as you can imagine, for a car that was in production for 15 years. When we looked at the engines, we didn't cover all of them because I'd be here all night if I did that. We only looked at the UK market ones, and the same thing with this. So let's start, shall we, and look at some 205 trim levels. The XE, the GE, the XL, the GL, the XR, the GR, the GT, the GTX, the XS, the SR, the XT, the Rally. Now that was a different Rally for in most countries. It was only a 1.4 engine and a 1.3. GTI, automatic, like this one we think. GTI Special, Trio, Junior, Trio Plus, Look, Style. Trio S, Trio SX, Zest, Mardi Gras, Lacoste, Lacoste All White, Open, Roland Garros, Scepter, Gentry, and the very famous GTI 1FM. I think I only made 25 of those. The car was assembled in France, of course, over in Alsace, in Spain, in Chile, in Taiwan, and Iran. Didn't realise that Peugeot was so big in Taiwan, but you know, there we go. Right, oh, there's that light again. So I'll be holding it like this. Yes, lots of juicy facts, and these kind of little buttons around here you would have seen when we did the walk around. They are very much like the end of a stick of chewing gum or something. I think maybe that's what we used to call them back in the day. Like a fruit, actually like a fruit pastel. That's it, like a fruit pastel. Anyway, I think we're gonna have to come to some sort of conclusion now. So viewers, with my jacket still blocking the sunlight from overwhelming the camera, should you buy a Peugeot 205? Well, I don't see why not. I mean, it's really strange. We might have another one of these coming up on the channel soon, because I've been actually offered quite a lot of these cars for review in the space of a very short time. So yeah, I've enjoyed this one. It's quite nippy, this car, and you know, with a power steering, automatic gearbox, and electric windows, it's got a nice spec to it. Those wheels, though, are going to be changed. Matty assures me that they're going to do something about that. Anyway, thank you for watching this episode of No Budget Reviews. It clearly is no budget, because I have to use my coat to do the light levels. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, click the notification bell to be informed of new uploads, and please visit my social media links, which are in the video description below. Thank you.